Plato told the story of Atlantis around 360 BC. The founders of Atlantis, he said, were half god and half human. They created a utopian civilization and became a great naval power. Their home is made up of concentric islands separated by wide moats and linked by a canal that penetrated to the center. The lush islands contained gold, silver, and other precious metals, and supported an abundance of rare exotic wildlife. There was a great capital city on the central island. Here we are, 2,300 years after Plato's death, still discussing this mythical legend. The legend of Atlantis is a story about moral, spiritual people who lived in a highly advanced civilization, but they became greedy, petty, and morally bankrupt. And the gods became angry because the people had lost their way and turned to immoral pursuits. So as punishment, the gods sent one terrible night of fire and earthquakes that caused Atlantis to sink into the bottom of the sea. Many believe it is in the Mediterranean. Why has this myth resurfaced? Recent satellite scans of northern Africa help to fuel the idea that Atlantis has been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. The allegation stems from a YouTuber named Njie who claims that near the town of Udain in Mauritania sits the remains of the ancient mythical city. The location he is referring to is the Eye of the Sahara, also known as the Eye of Africa. Archaeologists have long agreed that the eye was created by nature, and no reputable scientist would acknowledge the existence of Atlantis being more than mere folklore. Myth debunked.
Alafia Mandala Baby Fahudia is your favorite warrior Blak Pantha in the building today to discuss, is the sun really black in color? And is it a hologram? The claim is that the sun is black energy, so its color must be black, right? And only melanated people can benefit from the sun's rays, and that the real sun is hidden from us, and the one that we see every day is a hologram. So let's break this down. First of all, what the hell is black energy? I searched on the internet for about 20 minutes looking for what black energy was, and all I could find was a battery company. So there's no such thing as black energy, although energy can have colors when you're talking about wavelengths. When you're talking about light waves, violet is actually the color of the highest energy, and the lowest color energy is red. But that's another story. So, energy, a qualitative property that must be transferred to do work. And I know what people are going to say. Well, Blak Panther, there's such a thing as dark energy, so why can't it be black energy? The reason why it's called dark energy is because we don't know what it is. The darkness refers to unknown, okay? Now, the sun is a black body with an emission spectrum peaked in the central around yellow and green, which is a part of our visual spectrum. That's a bunch of fancy talk for. The sun is a black body that emits what we can see as yellow and green. But Panther, I thought you just said that there's no such thing as black energy, and the sun isn't black, so how is it a black body? Let me explain what a black body is. It's an idolized physical body that absorbs all incident electromagnetic radiation regardless of frequency, angle, or incidence, which means the sun is regarded as a body because it's a physical thing we can see. The sun is white. But Panther, why does it look yellow? It looks yellow because our atmosphere scatters higher wavelength colors that are easily seen, like red, orange, and yellow. Hence, these wavelengths are what we see. So, no one has technology to have a hologram of the sun. Anyway, the sun's not black. Anybody can benefit from the sun, and the sun is a black body, not an actual black sun. Hope you enjoyed this today. Hope you learned something. I'm out.
So to quickly sum up the history of the Moors and why they feel that they are exempt from United States law. 1777, Morocco is the first country to recognize the U.S. The U.S. and Morocco signed a peace treaty of commerce and friendship. 1836, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship was renewed for an indefinite term. 1917, Morocco helps us out with World War II. 1956, U.S. and Morocco established diplomatic relationships. In 1957, we began providing assistance to Morocco. In 1963, they joined the Peace Corps. In 1990, the African Lion was formed. In 1993, Morocco joins NATO. In 2001, Morocco is the first Arab nation to solidify their position. So basically, the Moors feel like they are linked to Morocco, because we know that the Moors were in Spain, and so they feel that they are linked to Morocco, and because they are linked to Morocco, they feel that they are Moroccans and Moroccan law applies to them. So the way that their mind works is that, number one, they're convinced that they are Moorish descendants and have special rights to the Peace Treaty of 1787. And number two, they feel that they're exempt because several articles in the treaty allow various protections for Moors. And number three, they attempt to actually go into court and try to get away with this shit and never get away with it. So they never get away with the things that they attempt to do. And then last but not least, you gotta dust yourself off and try again. So if a Moor fails to be taken seriously, they will basically just say that somewhere they went wrong in interpreting the case law and that you can try again, because ultimately they are exempt from U.S. laws. Good luck with that, guys. You know what, family? I would be lying if I said that I don't feel ridiculous doing some of these myths. But black skin can't be burned. I mean, you would think you wouldn't have discussed this in 2019, but I'm sorry. All skin can be burned, family. If you have skin, you can be burned. Point blank, period. It's actually one of the biggest sun myths, is that darker skin tones don't need protection from the sun. I really don't understand where this came from, because we all should know that we can be burned. It is true that darker skinned people are less likely to experience sunburn, but the risk is still there. Plus, long-term exposure still increases the risk of skin cancer, regardless of your tone, fam. Darker skin tones have more melanin than lighter ones, yes, meaning they're better protected from the sun. And I would actually say they have different types of melanin, and but anyway. But melanin isn't immune to all UV rays, so there's still some risk. And according to the CDC, family, about 13% of black women and about 9% of black men will experience some type of sunburn. And sunburn appears differently in lighter and darker skins. For lighter skinned people, it will actually look red and feel very hot and painful, or both. And the burned skin may also feel very tight. But in darker skin, people may not notice any redness, but still will have all of the other symptoms, such as the heat sensitivity and the itchiness, and after a few days, any skin tone may also experience peeling. So if you've ever been out in the sun for a long time, I know it's definitely happened to me, and I experienced peeling, but oh my god, number one, the first U.S. president was a black man. Who was excited about this? Who wasn't waiting for this shit? Who knew this shit was gonna make the list? So obviously, the first black man is not Barack Obama, who was the president, even though I would say he was the first mulatto president, but nevertheless. So, the two John Hansons. So basically, there's a white John Hanson and there's a black John Hanson, okay? The white John Hanson, he was elected public official for Maryland. He was a merchant during the American Revolution, elected president of the United States in Congress November 5th, 1781. The black John Hanson was a former slave who migrated to Liberia in the 1800s and was associated with the American Colonization Society. Now, as far as the black John Hanson, he arrived in Monrovia in 1827. He served 2 terms as a senator in Liberia. The white John Hanson, he was responsible for signing the Articles of Confederation after its ratification in 81. And prior to ratifying the Constitution, family, the presidency did not exist as an executive position separate from Congress. So before the Constitution, there was no president. So how could the black man have been president when, family, we didn't even have one? A lot of this debacle or debate or theories or whatever, it stems from the $2 bill. And as you can see, one of the people on the $2 bill appears to be darker than the others. However, considering that this was a painting and they superimposed the painting onto a dollar bill, of course, during printing, issues can arise. This is Robert Morris, legislator of Pennsylvania, born a white man, died a white man. How can you be a slave and a president at the same time? All I'm saying is that if black people were slaves at this time, why would they make one exception for one little nigga and let them be the president? Let's use some logic here, folks. Okay? This has been Lelelapoete Speaks. Thank you all for joining me on another edition of 5 Myths Debunked. Thank Blak Pantha for joining us, and we will see you guys again week after next. Odabo.